All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys so that you can see what's going on at home. If you want to open up the PowerPoint presentation, you could do that as well. So today is November 16th. It is a day 2. Remember, next week we have a 3-day week, right? So this is our last full week. And then we have Monday and Tuesday. Sorry, it's only a 2-day week. And then Wednesday is a virtual check-in day, just like usual. So you guys are here on Monday next week, and the other kids are only here on Tuesday, right? You guys know that?
No.
Special week.
Yeah.
Hey, the following week, you guys are here on Monday, and the gold group comes on Tuesday.
So we only get 1 day?
1 day next week, because it's a 3-day week right before Thanksgiving. All right? Hey, you guys have your planners filled out, right? We're going to check pages 11 and 12 today.
Would you please hear the Thursday and Friday? Spencer Ortiz?
No. And here's our learning target for today. So get your math notebooks out, and we'll get our learning target written down. So we're going to take that ratio, and we're going to find a unit rate. We're going to take the fraction. We're going to find out how much per 1. While you guys are writing that down, I'm just going to talk a little bit. So workbook pages 11 and 12 are due. Please make sure that you're submitting those into Canvas. That's the best way for me to check those. And then the answers are always presented for you the following day in the slides presentation. So make sure that you're checking your work there to make sure that you're understanding what's going on. And then if you have questions, the Google Meeting time, after I'm done with the lesson or before we start, that'd be when you guys could ask me a question about that. So today's learning target is I can use a ratio to find a unit rate. So let's say we have something like this, right? Let's say we have $8.25 for 3 boxes of cereal. Okay, 3 boxes of Fruity Pebbles. That's what my kids are eating at home right now. Fruity Pebbles with marshmallows in it, because Fruity Pebbles are cooling up by themselves. So I can get 3 boxes of Fruity Pebbles for $8.25. I want to figure out how much it costs for 1 box, because I want to see if that's a good deal or not. I know 1 box of Fruity Pebbles is usually $2.49. So they're selling it in a bulk package, and I want to figure out if that is a good deal. Okay, so that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. The easiest way to do it is you just take your calculator and you divide. Because, remember, this fraction says we're dividing $8.25. That fraction bar means divide, so divided by 3. So really the math here, how do I turn this into a 1? 3 divided by what gives me a 1? 3 divided by 3, right? Mm-hmm. And I have to do the same thing to the top to be consistent. So if I take 825 and divide it by 3, which is exactly what this ratio right here says, that's going to give me my answer. So has anybody got their calculator handy? Help me out. $8.25, so 8.25 divided by 3. What is our answer? Is it better to buy this package, or is it smarter to buy the individual boxes? Claire, what'd you get? What was the answer? Jose?
So we're supposed to divide by 3.
Yep, divided by 3. What'd you get?
It was 2.75.
2.75?
Yeah.
Okay, so $2.75 for 1 box. So if I buy this big 3 package, Okay, it's $2.75 for one. And so what we should figure out there is that this is actually the better deal to just buy the original single boxes. So that's how we use this a lot in the real world. Okay, we're figuring out how much does it cost per one. You can do it with ounces. You can do it with pounds. You can do it with a whole bunch of different things. So a lot of times now Costco is becoming like a huge, awesome place, right? You guys know about Costco? They sell things in bulk. But that doesn't necessarily always mean that it's a better deal. A lot of times they'll say the bigger it is, the better price it is. That's not always true. Okay? A lot of the times it is because of packaging and costs like that. They can lower the price, but sometimes it might still be more expensive. So you guys got to use this unit rate concept to figure out how much is it per one to compare it to the original size. Okay? Or if you go into the store and you're looking to buy soap, and they have the really big, gigantic, always use soap, or they have the normal soap, or they have the extra small soap. You can figure out how much it costs per ounce, and then you can see what's the better deal. Normally, the bigger buy is the better deal, okay? Because, like I said, it's cheaper to put a whole bunch of stuff into one package than to make multiple smaller packages, right? So usually the bigger the size, but that's not always true. So, and a lot of times when you go to the store, we'll talk about this tomorrow, they'll show you pictures of how much things cost per ounce or per pound or per piece even sometimes. All right, so that's what we're dealing with today. Homework is right here from yesterday, 11 and 12. I'll let you guys check answers on your own. The kids that are here in school, I'm going to come around and spot check and check in with you about a couple of important things. And so everyone else, let's get started on Book A. You guys can actually open up your Book A today. That's fine. Page 14. We're going to use a double number line today to start talking about ratios. So it says, a car can travel 300 miles on 10 gallons of gas. The ratio is 300 miles to 10. So we have this ratio for us right down here, 300 to 10. They have a number line here. So can you guys figure out what goes on the bottom of the number line? You guys in Book A? Book A, page 14. What goes on the bottom number line? The gallons of gas, right? You guys see that? So it goes 1. Can we fill in the blanks? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You guys got it? It's hard for me to write with this pen. I'll do the best I can. So a double number line, okay, how's that going to help us out? We can start with our ratio, 300 for 10, and then what we can do is we can figure out how much it is for 1 gallon. And we talked about what's the easiest way to do that. You just go ahead and take 300 and divide it by 10, right? So we go ahead and divide it by 10, and then we can figure out it's 30, okay? They also talk about how we could probably figure out what half of this is, right? And so if we took 300 tenths and we divided each of these by 2, we can find an equivalent ratio that would be for 5 gallons of gas, right? 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 300 divided by 2 is 150. We could also double this ratio. If our number line kept extending, we could double the ratio. And what's 300 times 2? Is 600, right? And then what is 10 times 2? 20, right? So what we can do is we can figure out equivalent ratios. And that's what a lot of this unit's also going to talk about, is figuring out equivalent ratios and then ultimately finding out how much per one. So we can very easily figure out times 2. We can figure out divide by 2. And the key thing is we're doing the same thing to our top number and to our bottom number. So 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. Okay? Once we figure out how much 1 is, how can we figure out how much 2 is? Jose, what do you think? We can just times it by 2, right? So we can go 1 times 2. And so then what's 30 times 2? 60. Okay? And so the cool thing is once you find a unit rate, it makes it a lot easier to find some of these other ones. Because if I have 150 divided by 5, how do I know how much 4 gallons of gas would be? It's kind of difficult, right? But if I can figure out how much 1 is, then all I have to do is take 1 and times it by 4. So if I can find that unit rate, I can do 1 times 4, which gives me 4. And then I can do 30 times 4, which gives me what? 30 times 4, 120. And then sometimes when we're filling in these number lines, you guys can start to see patterns, right? So on the bottom, we go by ones. On the top, what's our pattern? 30, 60, something, 120, 150. Does anybody see the pattern? It's 30, right? So we can make this 90. We can make this 180. I'm going to struggle here now to write this. The next one would be 210. And then 240, 270, and 300. Okay? So with ratios, the key thing here is that we're doing the same thing to the top and bottom number. We got to keep that ratio equivalent. That's like when we make equivalent fractions, when we were talking about multiplying and dividing fractions or adding and subtracting fractions. In order to get a common denominator, we had to do the same thing. We had to keep the fraction equivalent. Okay? So, filling in this ratio table. So let's take a look at what some of the questions asked us to do, and then we can fill that in. So over here, I think it's on the bottom of page 14, right? What do the 300 and the 10 in the double number line represent? It represents the 300 miles and the 10 gallons of gas. So write that down. 300 miles, 10 gallons of gas. Number of miles, number of gallons. That says gallons, believe it or not. Fill in the remaining numbers on both number lines. We should have already done that. You don't have to book here today, obviously. Look at the corresponding pairs of numbers on the bottom and top number lines. Write a multiplication sentence to show how 10 gallons and 300 miles are related to 5 gallons and 150 miles, and how 1 gallon and 30 miles. So what do we notice about that? Jose?
We all have a pattern.
Yeah, what's the pattern?
30.
Yeah, it's 30, right? Times 30. So if we take the gallons and we multiply it by 30, we're going to get the miles. So gallons times 30 equals the miles. Hey, when we get a little bit farther in, actually our next unit that we'll talk about, the next unit is called expressions and equations. We're going to write this out using algebraic terms. So we're going to say 30 times the gallons, we're going to use the variable g because we don't know that, will equal the total number of miles. And this is an algebraic equation right here. But it says the exact same thing that this says right here. The gallons times 30 equals the miles. 30 times the gallons equals the miles. You just got to learn a couple of rules. Like that 30, the number right next to a letter means we're going to multiply them. That's just something we have to know. So then if we put in a 3 right here, okay, it would be 30 times 3, which equals what? What's 30 times 3? 90. And if you guys go back and look on your chart, isn't that what it says when we have 3 gallons of gas? Doesn't it say 90 miles we can go?
Yeah.
And so the cool thing is once we figure out this equation, we can plug in any number. So you could even plug in 2.5 gallons of gas and figure out how many miles you can go. Anybody think they know that one? What if we put 2.5 in there?
70.
It would be halfway between 60, which is 2 gallons, and 90, which is 3 gallons. What's halfway between 60 and 90? There's a difference of 30, so what's half of 30? 15. So what would be 15 away from these in either direction? 75. Okay? So we can even figure out half gallons then. That's kind of cool, right? All right. Use words to describe the relationship between the number of miles and the number of gallons. We just did that. It's 30. 30 times larger. What is the rate for miles per gallon of this car? It is 30 to 1. And then remember, a unit rate has different units. So the rate here and the unit rate are going to be the same, because rate means how much per one, and unit rate means how much per one when we have different units. So this was miles per gallons. So the rate and the unit rate here are actually the same. Okay? Rate means how much per one. Unit rate means how much per one when we have different units. And ratio, if it said write an equivalent ratio, you could pick any one of those things from our double number line. It could be 60 over 2. It could be 270 over 9. Those are all ratios, right? The rate is how much per one. That's the simplified ratio, which is 30 per one. And the unit rate is 30 per one. It's the same because we have two different units here, miles per gallons. All right? What do we got over on the next page? Let's talk about it. Look at the model on the previous page. What pattern do you see in the number of miles? It's increasing by what?
30.
Yep. So adding 30 or increasing 30 or plus 30. What pattern do you see in the number of gallons? It's plus 1 or increases by 1. Now look at all the corresponding numbers of miles per gallon. Describe the pattern. So what's happening, we said it's 30 times bigger, right? 30 times the gallons equals the miles. I wrote that wrong. I got to erase that first equal sign. 30 times the gallons equals the miles. Finally, we're almost done. What is the ratio given in the problem? Write the ratio given in the problem. It's 300 divided by 10, right? That's the original ratio. Use division to find the related rate. How do you know the answer is correct? So what did we have to do with this ratio in order to find our rate? Remember what we said we do? We said this right away at the beginning of today when we did the boxes of cereal. How do we figure out the rate here? Jose? Yeah, you just divide the fraction. You do what the fraction says. That's kind of what I want you guys to put down in your notebook. Do what the fraction says. That's how we find a unit rate or a rate. It's so easy. So, in your notebooks, I wish I could type on here. Can I type on here? Let me see if I can type. If I make a text box. Make it bigger. Hey, can you guys at home see that I'm going to be typing this? In your notebook. Please write. How do I find a unit rate? We're going to write down what we just wrote down. Do what the fraction, or should we say ratio? Do what the ratio says? I'll put it in parentheses. So if I have 300 divided by 10, I'm going to do what the ratio says. 300 divided by, and that's going to equal what we just figured out was 30 per 1, or 30. I should probably write it down as 30 per 1. 30 miles per gallon, per 1 gallon. Ooh, can I slide this over and make it look cool? Oh. Is anyone still with me at home? Hello? Did you guys write this down in your notebook? Did that work out good? All right, you guys in here got it in your notebook? Remember, we get to use our notebook on quizzes and tests. All right, what's left? We got to almost be done for the day. Hey, there's 2 try problems, so let's get these try problems done. A 10-pound box of apples costs $12.50. Write the ratio to the cost of the number of pounds as a fraction. Then find the equivalent fraction with a denominator of 1. What is the rate and the unit rate to describe it? And secondly, a driver traveled 260 miles on the highway for 4 hours, driving the same speed for the whole trip. Write the ratio of miles per hours. Then use what you know about equivalent fractions to find the related rate and unit rate. You guys at home? Page 15. Try it. Get it done. Do you guys at home have a calculator?
I know.
It'll be easier if you do. If you don't, the first one we can figure out because it's just a dividing by 10. Colin, what's the ratio for the first one? Cost is on top and pounds are on the bottom. So remember we talked about ratios. You got to make sure you write it the correct way. We want cost over pounds. So what's the cost?
$12.50.
Okay. So that's our numerator or our top number. What's our denominator? What's the pounds?
10.
And then how do we find out the unit rate? What do? We just wrote it in our notebook. Do what the fraction says. The fraction says $12.50 divided by 10. So those of you that are good with your math skills know that when we divide by 10, we just move the decimal point 1 place. You don't even need a calculator. How much is it for 1 pound, Jose?
1.25.
And it's money, so we got to have 2 place values, right? So $1.25 per 1 pound. We got it?
Yeah.
So see if you can figure out the second one on your own. What's the ratio? They want miles to hours. So miles goes on top, hours goes on the bottom. We're making a ratio. Hopefully you guys have 260. Maybe it looks like a 3, but you know it's not. 260 divided by 4. Do what the fraction says. Push in on your calculator. 260 divided by 4. Jose? 65. For 1. So that means 65 miles per 1 hour. found a unit rate today. How much per 1? All you have to do to find a unit rate is just divide and do what the fraction says. Piece of cake? Got it? Yes, yeah? All right. Hey, homework. Okay, next step. At home, pages 13 and 14 out of book B. Okay, when you're done, take a picture, send it to me. And those of you at home, do your iReady minutes today. 20 minutes of iReady. When we've been at home, we have not been doing iReady. It's so important for us to be successful. It gives us direct instruction with things we need to relearn that are not happening in the classroom. Okay? Some of you, it's advanced learning. Some of you, it's catch-up learning. It's so important to do your iReady minutes. All right, that's all I got for you today. Peace out. Stay healthy. What do we got? You guys only have like 3 more days until it's Thanksgiving break of school.
Oh, thank God. Wait.
Oh, thank God. Be thankful for something. All right, catch you later. Bye.
Wait, does that mean no